Hey everybody, welcome back to Broken Berean. I'm your host RevStuie. I'm glad you're back. Sorry I've been MIA. I've been dealing with a lot of life stuff. But I wanted to make this video because this is one of those things I'm passionate about. The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda live action movie has been announced. So what's the good, what's the bad, what's the hope, what's the fear? Let's talk about it real quick so we can just get on with our lives and just pray and hope for the best. So, Nintendo has announced that they're going to do a Legend of Zelda movie. I didn't think this would be the next one that Nintendo said, hey, we're going to do after the Super Mario Brothers movie. So, I'm kind of like, okay, I do think Nintendo would have a better standing sticking with animation over live action. I don't know how this will turn out, but I try to be delightfully hopeful and optimistic about it. But, you know, transition from video game to live action has been a very sore subject for a lot of generations now. Like when I grew up, being a Gen Zer, we had Gen Xer. I'm not Gen Z. Oh my gosh, glad I'm not Gen Z. Gen X, sorry, mispronounced that. Gen X. I grew up with the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. And if people are old enough or have happened to stumble across it, is kind of like I don't know, it's a variety show of sorts. It has to deal with live action with the primary host was I lost his name now, but he was a professional wrestler at one point. And so there's a lot of professional wrestlers that came across and other celebrity guests that came onto the show because Nintendo licensed this show to happen, and it did real well. I mean, they had Cyndi Lauper on it, which in my personal opinion makes it a great show. Anything that has to do with Cyndi Lauper, yeah, I'm in. Second, the problem with that show was it was licensed, it wasn't really controlled by Nintendo, and so the Super Mario Brothers animation was fantastic. I absolutely love it. The Legend of Zelda animation, however, was a dramatic letdown. I wish I still had my VHS copies from the Burger King Kids Club that had like the shorts from the show back in the day. But Link was basically just a stuck-up Chad. That I don't think Chad's the right word. I don't even know what the proper word was. He was a self-indulgent narcissist who only cared about himself and thought he was the greatest person in the world despite lacking evidence. And this was kind of even in my young age watching the show was like, oh, this is disrespectful to Link. Link is not this person. He is a hero archetype. And we continue to watch as this hero archetype is kind of crapped on. And I didn't particularly like it. I didn't like the Zelda animation at all. I watched it, don't get me wrong. Huge Zelda fan. Still have my original NES. Still have my original Legend of Zelda NES cartridge. I think I let go of the Legend of Zelda 2 because let's be honest, Legend of Zelda 2 was a crap game. It was. It was trying to be something it shouldn't have been. So, moving on, we get to the Super Mario Brothers movie with Dennis Hopper. I mean, legend of cinema. Actually read the script and said, hey, I'll do this. And there's a lot of famous people in it that you'll look back and be like, oh, there's lots of people that went in on this project. And I bought this movie probably about 6 months before the new Super Mario Brothers movie came out because I knew my son was going to want to watch it. And I wanted to manage expectations, to say. So we had a big movie night. Me and my kids were watching it. And about 25, 30 minutes into it, my son just turns to me and goes, Dad, I got a question for you. did anybody play the game before they made this movie? And I was like, son, you are wise beyond your years. You are wise beyond your years. No, they obviously didn't. This is what we got. And hand to God, it was terrible. I mean, I watch it now and laugh, but knowing that this should have been an amazing movie that we didn't get. Don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of good and a lot of bad when it comes to video game adaptations. Street Fighter, the first Mortal Kombat movie. I'm still on the fence about the new reiteration. But there's been a lot of bad and a lot of good. And it's just hit or miss. Because, I mean, seriously, the Sonic movies were great. After the entire internet bullied them into being like, we don't want that monstrosity of a possessed Muppet. As Sonic, we want the animated Sonic. And boom. I mean, because the animation, the Sonic animation, the Pac-Man animation, great stuff. So anytime we go video game to live action, I have a massive, huge concern. Because when the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, did it have some problems? Yeah. Was it as woke as they were trying to say, like Peach was a girl boss? Absolutely not. But I will say this. The only problem I really just took me out of it was the Seth Rogen count. Seth Rogen. It's just, seriously. His casting was just... His laugh just literally took me out of the movie. It's just... But otherwise, it's great. I bought the collector's edition because I wanted a giant star sitting on my... next to my TV with the Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K built into it. Love it. It's a huge thing. So we got into Legend of Zelda now. I really wish they would have stuck with animation because I think they could do amazing things with animation. Because going into the Legend of Zelda world, you're going to have to rely heavily on CGI. And if we've noticed anything, a lot of the CGI lately that we've seen coming out in major productions have been rushed and not great. I mean, look at Disney. Disney has abused VFX creators and studios for years. And what we get, it's like, oh, huh. We'd rather you take the time and do practical effects than CGI. Come on. And the casting is, who knows what the casting is going to be yet. We don't know. But I wanted to get this video out because, hey, I'm about to go silent for a little bit again. But here's the problem with the live action that I see. I feel that live action won't live up to the expectations that we as video game players have had. I mean, we know the lore. There's so much. We don't know about the story. We don't know anything about it. We just know a few players that are attached to it. But looking at what could be and what couldn't be, and looking at the characters, the enemies, Ganondorf, and all these things, the Calamity, and all of this, just, there's so much they don't know where they're going to reach to, where they're going to source from, what part of the Zelda timeline they're going to pull from. But I promise you this, I do have hope, but I'm also very reluctant. And here's why. Miyamoto is going to be a big player in conducting this. And as if we've seen, when the creator is involved, we saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, it was great. We saw it in One Piece, it's great. I will have another video coming out next week about One Piece. I finally watched it. I can't believe I did, but we'll get to that. And here's the problem with the animation. We've got to come with animation. We've got so much that has to be overcome that switching it to live action just triples, quadruples, quintuples the problems that we're going to face. We are probably not going to like whoever is physically cast as these characters. Link, Zelda, we have these images in our mind. Some of us have spent hundreds, thousands of hours just in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild alone. Not to mention people like me who have probably spent countless hours because it wasn't ever calculated on The Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda 2, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and just so many others. Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, my favorite. Mask of Majora. There's so many things that we can just attach to we don't know. So what's the big deal? Well, it's not a big deal. We just don't know anything yet. And that's why we should be hopefully optimistic, because Miyamoto is still involved. But let's look at what we do know, and that is the director. The director is Wes Ball. Now, so let's take a look. What's Wes Ball done? Okay. Of note, the Maze Runner trilogy. And Ruin, I don't know anything about that. Work in progress, Jacob the movie, don't know. I have seen the Maze Runner trilogy. It's not fantastic. Is it terrible? That's debatable. It's not great. I don't know. I never read the source material. I just watched them as movies of like young adult fiction turned to media. And I knew that what I was going into. And I watched them all. I watched all three of them. I actually own digital copies of all three of them because, hey, why not? And I watched them. And they were kind of good. But it was more of the, I don't know if it's the story or the directing or the writing, but it was like, wow, the world hinges on 15 teenagers. The entire world hinges on 15 teenagers. That trope is just, it hurts. It really does. So, do I think that this is the director, right? Yeah, director. He's a director. So now we've got the writer. Let's move on to him. Derek Connolly. Hey, what do we know about Derek Connolly? Let's look. Oh, Jurassic World Dominion. The worst Jurassic Park movie. Episode 9, Rise of the Skywalker. When we thought The Last Jedi was the worst Star Trek movie they could ever make. Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Honestly, that was, I mean, my son and I watched it. We enjoyed it. But I know nothing about the gaming. Pokemon is never a franchise I got into. So, don't know. And he's got more Jurassic Park, Kong Skull Island, which was mid at best. Monster Trucks, I'll give him credit. Because Monster Trucks was actually written towards the audience. Who's wanting this? Kids like 8 to 15 boys. And lived up to the expectation. My son absolutely loved it when it came out. Took him to the theater. He wanted a copy of it. I bought a DVD version of it, bought the digital version of it, so he could watch it whenever he wants. I will give him props. I know it's not like a great rated movie, but it played to that young boy audience like it should. And a lot of his other stuff, Jurassic World, Lego Jurassic World, man. This doesn't give me a lot of hope. But the fact that Miyamoto is involved does give me a lot of hope. Because I am an OG Zelda fan. I mean, I remember begging for an entire year from the moment it was released until Christmas the following year, asking my parents every week, I want The Legend of Zelda. I want The Legend of Zelda. I want The Legend of Zelda. That was the only thing that was going to get me to shut up. Because I had when they got me an NES, I thought it was Atlas and was holding up the world. I thought it was the strongest and most powerful person in the world to get that. And then, The Legend of Zelda came out. I mean, I literally had 4 games. and most of them were bought used. No problem with that. Love it. Still buy used games. Love it. But Legend of Zelda, I wanted it so bad. I've been a Zelda fan. I have played every Zelda iteration with the exception... No, I did play the one. I did play Skyward Sword. Okay, so I played on the GameCube, but not the Wii. So I have played virtually every iteration of Legend of the Zelda franchise that was not mobile. And I mean like Game Boy Advance, things like that. Just because I didn't have access to that stuff. So I didn't really, I was like, if it's for the console, great. I'm all over it and have every step of the way. Love Zelda, love the franchise. Hate the absolute 1980s, early 90s animation of it. It's just a slap in the face. And I think Nintendo saw that. And that's why from, 1993, 94, when Super Mario Brothers came out, and they licensed that movie till 2 years ago when we got the Super Mario Brothers live action the animated movie. They're real concerned about adapting their properties to media. And I get it. But now they're kind of like, we're going to do this, so let's do this. So, should I hate on this movie? Absolutely not. Don't know anything about it. All I know is 3 things. They're making a live action movie. That has pros and cons. Miyamoto's involved. That's a whole bunch of pros. Westball. That's kind of a neutral. Could be bad, could be good, but you never know. Westball's kind of a neutral director. We've got Derek Connolly. Honestly, this feels like a Rings of Power writer type thing. Hey, we got this guy who will work for what we want and not the quality of his work type vibe to it. I don't know. I really don't. But as Legend of Zelda, I mean seriously, if Nintendo doesn't pull this off perfectly, they could have done well with animation. I do still think they should have they can still make the switch to animation and we'd all love it. But live action holds a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong. Casting, settings, CGI, wardrobe is a huge one. If you watch Rings of Power, tell me the wardrobe didn't just make you want to slap every person on the set, knowing that you had actually watched the Lords of the Ring trilogy and saw the effort they put into that wardrobe. Or House of the Dragon. I mean, seriously. So, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with live action that you don't have to live up to in animation. So I'm here to say I am hopefully optimistic. But I do hope they switch it back to animation. Because honestly, selfishly, I think an animation of Legend of Zelda can lead to more Donkey Kong, F-Zero, Star Fox, and the culmination, the end game of the Marvel Universe type finale the Nintendo Universe could pull off. It's a Super Smash Bros. Movie. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Seriously, tell me I'm wrong. I mean, seriously, would you not, as anybody who's ever played a Smash Bros. Game on any system ever, would not go see that movie instantly? I don't care what was attached to it. All you had to do was be like, this is the movie, no trailer, no nothing, come see it. Everybody that's ever played Super Smash Bros. Would go see that movie. Maybe they're not creating a cinematic universe. That's great too. We've seen how Marvel has fumbled that ball. So what I will say is, hey, I can't wait to see what's coming. I am exceptionally optimistic, but I am reserved and cautious. And with that, I say this and this final thing I say every time. I love you all. and there's nothing you can do about it.